Hello everyone, welcome to class today. My name's Alexis and I'm so glad to have you on the mat with me for this tapas themed flow. Make sure you have a journal. We are going to be journaling later. This, like I said, this is a tapas flow. If you are familiar with the niyamas at all, you know that tapas is the niyama that's basically about how we get things done. So it's going to be a challenging class, but I promise it will be rewarding. Come to lie down on your back. Keep your knees bent. Let your feet come as wide as the mat and your knees knock in towards one another. And bring your hands to rest on your abdomen, somewhere between your lower ribs and your hips. And just take several deep breaths into your belly here. Tapas is the niyama that is best interpreted as discipline, motivation, activation. It's our ability to burn through distractions, burn through challenges, burn through any obstacles that we face on our journey of living through life, of achieving our goals. The thing about tapas I love the most is it's about discipline, which we're going to explore a little bit as we move through this class. So bring your hands by your sides and lift the knees up so they're directly over your hips. Engage your core, and then you're just going to tap one toe down to the mat and then the other. Tap the right toe, bring it back up, and tap the left toe, bring it back up. If you would like to, you can bring the arms straight up overhead and alternate. So you drop right toe, left arm, bring them up, left toe, right arm, bring them up. If that's too hard with the arms, just leave the arms by your side and continue tapping one toe and then the other. Whichever one you choose, continue to breathe out through pursed lips to make sure your core is engaged as you drop your toe to the mat. Beautiful. You're almost there. You're doing great. Last one on each side. Whew. Well done. And then rock and roll yourself back and forth up to boat pose. Try to not use your hands and try to let your toes not touch the mat. But of course, if you need to, do what you need to do. But challenge yourself here. See how much strength your core can lift you up and stabilize you as you're rocking back and forth into boat pose. And then rock forward into boat. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. If you need to keep the hands under the knees, do so. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Tapping one knee to the mat and then the other. One toe to the mat and then the other. If you need to keep the hands behind the knees, do so. If you can let the arms just reach straight ahead, do so. Keep your back nice and straight wherever you are. We're going to be really working through our core here because our core is the seat of our power. So it's related to the the solar plexus chakra, which is all about fire. Beautiful. Roll back into a ball and then roll to see if you can propel yourself forward into a forward fold. It might take a couple tries. You might need to use your hands. That's okay. However you get there, meet me in a forward fold. Let your head hang heavy, maybe bend into one knee and the other, maybe wiggle the hips or sway side to side. And then inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, plant the hands on the mat and step back into downward facing dog. Now from here, we're going to do a fun little plank sequence. If at any point, you can always sit back on your knees, hands on the chest, take a breather. You can also do all of this on your knees if you need to. But again, I'm going to challenge you. So come forward into your plank pose. We're just going to hold this plank for 10 seconds. Keep holding it. You're almost there. The time will breeze by, I promise. Keep holding. Keep holding. Beautiful. Let the knees go down to the mat. Sit back into child's pose. Take a breather. Wiggle the hips. We're going to add on next time. Come back forward into your plank. Release. Press the tailbone towards the feet. Hands nice and strong. High plank. Pressing through the palms. You might be shaking, that's okay. And then from here, we're going to come onto a left side plank. You can rock onto the left edge of the left foot, or you can let that left knee come to the mat for a supported side plank. Again, you're only here for 10 seconds. Keep going, keep holding if you can. And then we're going to go through the center all the way over to the right side. Right side plank onto the right edge of the right foot, or you can bring the right knee down to the mat. Hold your right side plank. Again, 10 seconds. You can do it. I believe in you. Come back to center. Full plank, hold it, press through the hands. You're almost there. You're doing great. Beautiful. Lower the knees to the mat, sit back into child's pose or just sitting back on the knees, hands on your chest. Take a breather, Wiggle the hips. Give yourself a little shoulder roll if that's what you need. We've got one more little combo. Come back forward into plank and hold. Feel the stability, the strength, feel the fire in your belly lighting up as you hold this plank pose. From here, you're going to use your left arm to lower yourself down into forearm plank. Leading with the left arm, hold your forearm plank. And again, you can do all of these on your knees. If you need to lower your knees for any of these, do so. You can always take a break when you need. Starting with the right hand, push yourself back up into a high plank, still holding. Breathe deeply. Breathe out through pursed lips to engage that core, and then lower the right arm down, left arm down into your forearm plank. We're almost there. You're doing amazing. Keep holding. Keep holding. Breathe. Don't forget to breathe. And then lower the knees down and come into Sphinx pose. Stretch it out. If a cobra pose would feel great, go ahead and take it. If you want to just hang out in Sphinx, you can. And then grab your journal. We're going to start with our simple journal exercise, and then we'll move into our finishers for the class. But take a couple breaths here in your Sphinx. Reflect on how that felt to move through those core activation exercises. Plank is one of my favorites. It's a full body exercise. But I think it really symbolizes the idea of tapas as discipline and burning through obstacles. So for your journaling, I want you to think of one thing in your life that feels hard to you. And this can be big, it can be small, but I want you to hold it with open hands. Don't get too precious or caught up into it. And I want you to just journal on what would it look like if you burned through those obstacles? What would it look like to be on the other side? How would it feel? What would the reward be for your discipline of doing this hard thing? We can do hard things. So take a minute to journal on what it would feel like and look like to be on the other side going through that obstacle or that challenging thing. This is a short journaling practice, so you don't need to go too deep here, just surface level. And then set your journal aside and take one, maybe more big breath in your Sphinx. And then just lower your chest, roll yourself onto your back for your Shavasana. You can keep your knees bent with the feet at the edges of the mat and the knees knocking together. Or you can come into a full Shavasana with the legs out long. It's up to you. Let your body rest wherever you end up in this Shavasana. Shavasana is the opportunity for our bodies and our minds and our hearts to percolate, process, digest the work that we've done in our class. And this was a short practice, very short. But there is power in simple practices that can illustrate big ideas. And the reason I chose that little plank variation is because plank is hard. Plank is challenging for most people. And it doesn't matter if you held every plank for 10 seconds. It doesn't matter if you were on your knees that whole time. It doesn't matter if you could only do 1 or 2 planks of that whole little sequence. What matters is that you tried. Discipline, more than anything, is continuous attempts over time. One of my favorite phrases is anything worth doing is worth half-assing. Because if we can do a little bit, it builds that discipline, it builds that consistency within us. And ultimately, that enables us to strengthen that muscle of tapas. of burning through obstacles. That's what tapas is all about. It's enabling us to half-ass our way so that we can do something full on. Continue to rest in your shavasana with that thought in mind. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Make any movements that feel good. Hug the knees into the chest. And make your way up into a comfortable seated position for a short meditation and reading. Take your time. Keep your eyes closed. If you need a block or a cushion, grab one. And when you arrive, rest your hands in your lap or on your knees. And take a big breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And I'm going to read an excerpt from Meditations on Intention and Being by Rolf Gates. This is about tapas. I find it wise to keep in mind the fact that I am practicing yoga for a reason. That there will be a moment when I can make a choice out of my conditioned reactivity, or I can make a choice that I have practiced, a choice that reflects my highest aspirations, my core values, and beliefs. And I have come to understand that it will matter to me and those I love which choice I make. We practice in good times so that we will have the momentum to practice in the bad ones. We practice when it is easy so that we will practice when it is hard. We practice in a safe, controlled setting, so when it is scary and uncertain, we will know what to do. We practice in the light what we wish to remember in the dark. I'm going to repeat that last line for you. We practice in the light what we wish to remember in the dark. I know for me, my mat is one of my greatest sources of light in my life. And the things I do on my mat are directly correlated to how I live in the world. Tapas is this ability that we cultivate on our mat, in the light, to move into the world with the discipline and the foundation of consistency to move through the darkness off the mat. And that's what makes tapas so powerful. Anything worth doing is worth half-assing. You can make that your mantra if you like. But I'll leave you with this mantra that we won't practice together, but I hope you'll take it into your day. I do my best, and that's enough. I do my best, and that's enough. I do my best, and that's enough. Before we go, say that mantra to yourself 3 times. I do my best, and that's enough. I do my best, and that's enough. I do my best, and that's enough. Take 3 breaths here in your own time, in and out through the nose. And when you are ready, Take a big breath in, lift the arms up overhead, and exhale, bring the hands to heart center in prayer. You can open your eyes. And thank you so much for practicing with me. I hope you enjoyed this little challenging ritual. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, have a wonderful day. Namaste.